Welcome in to episode 24 of Uncaged Sports Talk. I am sorry for the delay on this episode. I was trying to recuperate from a Vegas trip. As you all know, I went to Vegas, or most of you know, I went to Vegas last week. There was 20 of us on a trip. I was there from Wednesday until Monday night. Got back Tuesday morning in the Philadelphia International Airport. But it was a very fun trip. There was, as I just mentioned, there was 20 of us. I want to talk about that a little first. So it was for a free poker network that we're all a part of that we all went out and had fun on. They had the national championship out there last weekend out in Las Vegas. We all, for the most part, we all stayed on Fremont Street, which was really fun. It was just a fun trip in general this year. I think it's the most Delaware has ever sent out to the FPN National Championship. We had a lot of very successful runs in the tournament. Some repetitive people were having success throughout the weekend. A lot of the same people were having success. I'll give them a shout out real quick before I talk about the trip a little more. And then I'm going to keep this, I'm going to try to keep this episode a little shorter just so I can get off and then go watch the football games. And if newer people are watching or if anyone else is, any of our usuals are watching, it's not going to be a long episode. But as you can see when you see the beginning of the header, Samantha Jacob, someone that I've actually was part of the group I actually flew out with, me, Jim Pergini, I think is how you say the last name, I'm pretty sure, and Maya Cacaro. We all flew out last Wednesday, but Sam, she came in fourth in the bar championship. They had a trophy for that one. Came up just a little short, but that was really fun. We were all there supporting her. Me and someone else had went swimming shortly before Sam got on the feature table. And then when she got on the feature table, we all started watching and supporting her, rooting for her to do well. She did really well. She came in fourth in that, which was really fun to see. We all thought she was going to take it down, but came up just a little short, which sucked. But that was still a fun tournament to watch and cheer her on in, rooting from the rail for her. And then in the tag team the next day, we all were wearing 302 poker shirts. I posted a picture on the Uncaged Sports Talk Twitter, Instagram. But we were all wearing 302 poker shirts, all wearing the same shirt, so we stood out. But Sam and Jim, as you can see by the header, it's actually going across now. Dancing Sam and Jim, the announcer said, because there was a live stream for it, came in 8th place in a tournament where they had tag team championship belts. I believe there was like 176 teams. So they made a really good run. We thought they were going to take it down, but came up just a little short, which sucked. Close but no cigar yet again. But that was still really fun. All of us standing there cheering them on. I'm going to be posting pictures on Facebook after this podcast comes out. I'm going to post just pictures from the entire trip on Facebook. There, over half our group was standing there supporting them while they were trying to take down that tournament. It would have been really cool to see them take them down and bring those belts back to Delaware. But there is next year in May. But I'm not sure how many of us are going out in May. I will be going out hopefully again next January because I want to go out and have fun again with this entire group. This group has become my poker family. They've become like a second family for me. But Sam and Jim came in 8th in the tag team tournaments. Dancing Sam and Jim, as the announcer said. And then in the main event, there was 388 people. We had 2 of the main people from our group cash. One came in 22nd. Maya Cacaro. She came in 22nd. She did great all weekend. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of all of her. And I'm proud of her entire group. But she came in 22nd in the main event. She cashed last year. She came in 12th, I think, last year. I think the furthest a woman has ever made it. Or no, not furthest, but she came in 12th last year, which was really cool to see. Came in 22nd this year, so she cashed both years. So she had a very successful weekend in general with the qualifier. She qualified twice up there, got her stack up to 40,000, and then she did some damage in the main tournament. And then, last but certainly not least, he runs our FPN game in Delaware. As you can see, it just went across again. if you're for the people watching on YouTube, which is I think just about everyone for this episode. But Gary Lance came in 4th place. Huge shout out to Gary. 2 out of the last 4 years. 4 years ago, he came in 2nd in the main tournament, but there was a lot more people this year. He won the same amount of money, $5,000 from both tournaments. This year, he came in 4th place. So 2 out of the last 4 years in the FPN National Championship, Gary has come in 2nd place and 4th place. So some very successful runs for him. Hopefully next year, someone from this group will take it down. Maybe me, which would be really cool. I'm the youngin' of the group. I'm the baby of the group. But I just want to see someone take it down. If one person from Delaware takes it down, we all take it down. It was a very fun trip out in Las Vegas last week. Last Wednesday, there was only a few of us out there, like 7 of us. We went out to a dinner, which was really cool. And then Thursday, I forget what we did Thursday. Thursday, I think went out to like a smaller dinner. A few of us, we just hung out on a strip. Went to Treasure Island, I think. Me and some other people. Then Friday, we had the bar championship thing. Me and someone went swimming at Circa, which I should have taken pictures of Circa. They have an outdoor pool, which was really cool, like where you can watch sports, which is like the Sixers were going on. I had my glasses off because I accidentally went under the water with them on and messed them up. So I had to take them off. But that was really cool. That it cost $25 to go up there. That was just a really fun experience, just hanging out up there. You can get drinks up there. And then Saturday we had the tag team tournament, which was really fun. Seeing all of our people wearing our 3-2 poker shirts, and seeing the successful run from Sam and Jim. And then the main event was really fun. Seeing Gary have another successful run in the FPN National Championship. Just in our entire group, seeing the runs, being there to support them all. It was a very fun weekend. And then Monday we went up to the strip for the people that had the red eye and caught the red eye out. That was really fun. I got a Baja Blast from Taco Bell, a Freezy with tequila in it. They don't say which one, what type of tequila, but that was on my bucket list, and I got to cross that off, which was really cool to do. Now to get into some sports topics, I'm going to keep this topic short. I want to touch on this before I get into the football playoffs that we have going on this weekend. I haven't been keeping up completely with the Flyers, but I did see this. This was a topic this week, and it will be a topic probably forever with the Flyers now. Cutter Gauthier, I think that's how you say his last name. He was not answering any calls from the Flyers, wasn't staying in contact with the Flyers. For people that don't know, he was a first round draft pick, 5th overall by the Flyers in 2022. At first, he said he would play for the team. As of recently, someone said something to him or whatever. He has personal reasons for not wanting to play for the Flyers. He ghosted people like Danny Briere, John LeClaire, Keith Jones. He ghosted the Flyers, which forced the Flyers' hand in having to trade him for Jamie Drysdale, who I'm pretty sure I've heard he's a good prospect. He's a good player out there, and he's NHL ready. And a 2nd-round pick in this upcoming draft. But the Flyers were forced to trade Cutter Gauthier, who went off for Team USA recently, and had Flyers fans very excited. He's been dominating for Boston College. This guy, though, with him forcing his way out, not answering calls, like not wanting to play for the Flyers, he just put a target on his back for the NHL and specifically Flyers fans. Flyers fans, when this man comes to Philadelphia, when the Anaheim Ducks and Cutter Gauthier comes to Philadelphia, are going to give this man hell. They're going to give this man hell when he comes to Philadelphia. He's not going to know what hit him. He's going to regret not answering those calls when he comes to Philadelphia and the hell he's going to receive from the fans in Philadelphia. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And now I will also touch on, as you can see when the header comes across 2 at points, before I get into the NFL talk. The national champions. Congrats to the Michigan Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh looks like he might be headed to the NFL within the next 2 weeks or so. But Jim Harbaugh has finally won a national championship at the University of Michigan. They won 34-13 against Washington. Just flat out dominated this year, undefeated season. The Michigan Wolverines, hats off to Harbaugh and the Wolverines. I want to let you all know to head over and visit my friend Dan the Man Stanley, where they will hook you up with a new car. Just let them know Luke Sorenkin at Sheridan Nissan, or they will hook you up with a new car. Just let them know Luke Sorenkin on Cage Sports Talk sent you. Before we get into the predictions for this weekend, as I said, we're going to keep this a shorter episode. I want to get into Luke's list, my NFL power rankings. Not a lot of movement in this week. Some smaller movements, but not a lot. A lot of the teams in the top 10 stayed right around where they were last week. There is one drop on the list. A team that has been there all year dropped off. But without further ado, here we go. First, trending down, coming in at number 8 is the Miami Dolphins. They moved down 4 spots after losing to the Bills. Their second loss to the Bills this year. They struggled. Tua did not look good in a game with the division on the line. Did not come up big. They came up small. Granted, they have injuries, which is another reason they dropped. But they came up small in a game that mattered. In their biggest game of the year, they came up small. So they dropped 4 spots with some other teams like the Rams, Chiefs, Lions, Cowboys, all rising ahead of them. The Jaguars dropped 4 spots. They come in at number 15. There's some serious questions about Trevor Lawrence starting to arise there in Jacksonville. They have some question marks in Jacksonville there. The defense still needs a lot of work. Trevor Lawrence, not looking like the QB everyone has thought he is. He's been average so far to start his career. Maybe above average at best. Coming in at number 17, the Steelers dropped 4 spots as well. Now, this is odd for a team that just made the playoffs, but this is strictly because of the TJ Watt injury. That TJ Watt injury, him being hurt to start the playoffs, is a huge loss. If they have TJ Watt, they might be close to top 10. But without TJ Watt makes that big of an impact for the Steelers, where they could potentially go from a top 10 team, from a potential top 10 team, to dropping 4 spots on this list to 17th. That's the reason the Steelers dropped. Their offense has looked improved ever since they fired Matt Canada and Mason Rudolph became the QB. But losing TJ Watt's just a huge loss for that team. He's their heart on defense. Their team runs through TJ Watt. Now, before I get into the top 10, I haven't touched on them yet this episode. The Eagles. The Eagles, for the first time all year long, heading into the playoffs, have dropped off of the top 10 of Luke's list, which pains me to say. The Eagles, I saw the stat this week. The Eagles are only the second team in NFL history to start 10-1 and not make it to 12 wins. Last time it happened was like 1970, the Jets or something, or 1960, the Jets or something. They're only the second team to not make it to 12 wins after starting 10-1. That's atrocious. Finishing 1-5 to end the season, losing to the Cardinals and Giants, with playoff implications on the line. Granted, the Giants game didn't matter as much, but still losing to the Cardinals and Giants and the Seahawks with playoff implications on the line. A flat-out choke job. To me personally, I think Sirianni should be on the hot seat, especially with Bill Belichick just getting fired. If I can go get Bill Belichick, compare him with Jalen Hurts, it would be Bill Belichick's best team he has had in years. It would be his best team he's had in years, probably since the last time the Patriots won a Super Bowl. If you could bring in a Bill Belichick. Sirianni is on my hot seat depending on how this game goes Monday night. And A.J. Brown being out doesn't help. I think that might save Sirianni's job because he can be like, hey, look, AJ Brown was out, blah, blah, blah. But to me, Sirianni's on the hot seat, depending on how they come out and perform on Monday night against the Buccaneers. I think the Eagles edge out to win, but I'll get into that a little more in a second after I do my Luke's list and Luke's locks. Coming in at number 10, or trending up, I did not mention this yet. Coming in at number 10, they trend up 6 spots. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is looking good. The receiving core is looking solid. They get Jair Alexander back after they suspended him for conduct detrimental to the team. Stuff is trending up there in Green Bay. Jordan Love is looking solid. He's looking like they didn't waste a pick a few years ago. They got a receiving core building there with Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave at tight end. They got something building there in Green Bay. They come in at number 10. They jump the Eagles and come in at number 10. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, that team can make some damage in the not make damage in the playoffs because of their matchup, but that team has a bright future. Their future is trending up. They're trending up this year. Right now, if they played the Eagles, I think the Packers would be able to beat the Eagles in that game. Coming in at number 9, they move up 1 spot because the Eagles dropped. The Cleveland Browns, Joe Cool, Joe Flacco, and the Cleveland Browns, they've been solid ever since Joe Cool took over. I was hesitant to start moving them up this list, but they've moved up slowly but surely, and they've earned that number 9 spot. That defense is balling out all season long, and ever since Flacco took over, even though he has the 2 picks a game, he has the 3 touchdowns a game and the 300-plus passing yards a game. The Browns move up to number 9 on this list. I already touched on the Dolphins, their injuries with Bradley Chubb and company starting to get hurt are piling up. And not winning that game against the Bills was a huge loss. I actually have a typo in there. It says they only moved down 1 spot, but they moved down 4 spots. But the Dolphins come in at number 8. They're not winning that game against the Bills is a huge loss. Like you had Tua through 2 picks in the biggest game of the year, division on the line. You could have avoided going to Kansas City today. You could have avoided all that if you just beat the Bills. But instead, you got swept by the Bills and Tua through 2 picks. Coming in at number 7 is the Los Angeles Rams. I've slowly been moving them up. They're almost in the same category as the Browns. I've moved them up a bit faster. But the Rams have looked. This is, I think, the highest I've had the Rams all year. This is the best the Rams have looked since 2 years ago when they went on that Super Bowl run. Matt Stafford's balling out. Kyron Williams is balling out. Maybe the second best running back in football behind Christian McCaffrey, who no one's going to touch. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, they got some good receivers there. The defense is lackluster. But with Sean McVay, Kupp, Nacua, Kyron Williams, Stafford, they can make some damage with that offense in the playoffs. That offense can just about keep up with anyone. And I would expect them to be able to keep up with anyone. The Rams coming at number 7. They've been on fire recently. Coming in at number 6 is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs only move up a spot because the Dolphins dropped. They're sketchy. That's the best way I can word the Chiefs right now. They're a sketchy team. I'm not sure how to really feel about the Chiefs. It's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I said that last week. So I think that's the reason they get the benefit of the doubt over teams like the Rams, the Dolphins, the Browns. It's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. As much as the Chiefs are struggling, who do you believe in when it comes to when the money's on the table, when the chips are on the table? Who do you believe in? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Anyone will likely believe in those two. The Chiefs come in at number 6. Their defense has been solid. It's just the offense or receiving core. You actually have Rashee Rice coming on strong. Pacheco, I think, is going to have a good game today against the Dolphins in the cold weather. I think he's going to run rampant. No one's going to want to tackle in the cold weather, especially a team like the Dolphins are more a finesse team. No one's going to want to tackle Pacheco today. I think he's going to have a dominant game today. Coming in at number 5 The Detroit Lions, they come in at number 5. They move up one spot because the Dolphins dropped. All the teams ahead move up one spot from any team that was below 4 moved up one spot just because the Dolphins dropped. A lot of the reasonings are the same. The Lions are number 5. Their offense is really good. They have Amon-Ra. You have the Gibbs and Montgomery combo. When they play on the road in cold weather, that combo is going to be really good in playoff football weather. Like if they have to go on the road to a cold weather place, even San Fran, if it's cold, if they have to go to San Fran at all, that's going to do them well having that combo of running backs. And then you got Goff, who's had a solid year. The defense is bad, but they've had their moments. CJ, they've been better since he's come back. The Lions have a team that can compete in these playoffs. Now, I think they lose tomorrow, but I'll get into that shortly. Coming in at number 4, same reasonings I've given this team like all year long. They're a really good football team this year. People don't give them the credit they deserve. I think they should be able to win this game. I think they should be able to win this game coming up against the Packers or easily. Not easily, but fairly easily is a good word for it. They should be able to win this game against the Packers fairly easily. Their offense is really good. Dak's playing at an MVP caliber level. I hate to say that, but he's probably been the best quarterback in all of football this year. He's not going to win MVP because of how it works, because of the criteria for it. But Dak has played the best football of any quarterback this year, or at least up there with any quarterback, with the Lamars of the world. Dak has played just as good, if not better, which pains me to say. So the Cowboys come in at number 4. Their problem is, can Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott come up big when it matters most? Then the top 3 is all the same. The Bills come in at number 3. They've been on fire recently. They've been one of the hotter teams. Their offense is looking really good ever since Joe Brady took over as the offensive coordinator. The defense is solid. They have some injuries, but they're a solid team. They have a team that can compete with anyone. I would take the Bills, depending on where the game is, against any of these teams. But then I'd also be able to take any of these teams against the Bills, just depending on where the game is, what's going on before the game, what lines up with the game. The Bills are an inconsistent team, but they're consistent enough to be ahead of all the other teams. They're better than the rest, is a good way to put the Bills right now. Coming in at number 2 is the San Francisco 49ers. They've been, when they're on their A game, when they get out to a lead, they are the most unbeatable team in all of football. The problem is you got to get off to that start. If you don't get off to that start, they're in trouble. I think if they don't get off to that start, I think not anyone can beat them, but a lot of teams can compete with them if they don't get off to that fast start. Look at that Ravens-Niners game. Now, the number 1 team in all of football this year, they've beaten 10 teams with winning records, an NFL record. The Baltimore Ravens, they come in at number 1. We might even be getting Mark Andrews back, I heard this week. They might get him back eventually. But the Ravens come in at number 1. They've been the best team in all of football this year. They've had some eggs have dropped, but they beat the Niners. They've been the most consistent team in all of football this year. They come in at number 1 in Luke's list. Lamar Jackson is likely going to win MVP. The Ravens, this is a year they got to make something happen. If they don't, the questions about Lamar Jackson being able to win in the playoffs start to arise again. But the Ravens come in at number 1 in Luke's list. Now, before we get into the playoff predictions for this weekend, or for the entire playoffs, as we're going to wrap up the show with that. For Luke's locks, here's Luke's locks. Uncaged Sports Talk, Luke's locks. First, I'll take a sip of water. First, I got the Browns minus 2.5 against the Texans. I like the Browns today. I think whenever it's like a 2.5 point line, I usually consider that almost a pick 'em game because if you take the plus 2.5, you're almost picking the other team to win. I think the Browns win this game. 2.5, I like that number. The Browns win by 3 or more. I like the Browns a lot in this game. I think they're on fire. Joe Cool has never lost a wild card game. He's 5-0 in the wild card round. UD alum, Joe Flacco is going to go out there. I don't, and rookie QBs tend to struggle. So I think Stroud might have his struggles in this game against that Browns defense. The Browns go out and beat the Texans today. I like the Browns minus 2.5. The Dolphins, now on Bet Rivers in Delaware, this line's +5, but I saw another line where it was +4.5. And I like doing the half-point line so it's easier to keep track of the record. The Dolphins against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win the game, but I think +4.5. I don't see the Chiefs beating them by more than 4. Sure, I'm backing myself into a corner with that +4 to a degree. But the Chiefs haven't been beating teams handedly. All their games have been close. This strikes me as a game that's going to be close. Cold weather. It's going to be a lot of running for both sides. Dolphins like to run the ball. Raheem Mostert, A-Chain. They're gonna be able to get to their strong suit in this game. What they like to do a lot, running the ball. But I think Pacheco, how his running style, his right at you running style, bouncing off people, getting right up. I think that's going to be demoralizing to that Dolphins defense. I don't think they're going to want to tackle. I think Pacheco has a field day today, but I think the Dolphins cover the +4.5. Then I got the Packers +6.5. I think the Cowboys win the game. Another similar situation to the Dolphins. I think the Cowboys win the game, but I think the Packers cover. I think things might get tight in this game. I like the Packers +6.5, especially if it gets tight for the Cowboys with Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy with their playoff history. And the Packers have a good playoff history against the Cowboys. I think the Packers don't know what they don't know with this current crop of players. I think they're going to be ready to compete. I think they're going to come out, compete, even if they fall behind. I think they're going to try to scratch their way back. They're not going to quit. I don't think there's going to be any quit in this Packers team with Jordan Love at the helm. I think they're going to be ready with this young Packers team. And they're going to bring fight to the Cowboys, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But I think it's going to be enough to cover the +6.5. I like that number. 6.5 is a good number in this game. I think Packers cover. I got the Rams +3.5. The Matthew Stafford Bowl. I think the Rams win this game, and I think they cover. Obviously, if they win, I like the Rams +3.5 and to win outright. Stafford's. I think that offense is going to go in there. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be like a 34-31 Rams, 34-27 Rams. I don't think the Detroit defense is going to do enough. I think Aaron Donald might do enough to get like a clutch sack or something to help out the Rams offense. And that could be the difference maker for defensive wise. It'll come down to what defense makes a play first. And I think the Rams defense will be able to make a play first in this game. I like the Rams +3.5. As this game is going to be an offensive shootout, I think Stafford wins at Detroit and keeps Detroit from winning their first home playoff game in 30 years and keeps them from winning a playoff game. Keeps the Detroit playoff win drought going. Now, this Bills-Steelers game. At first, I had a different result. I had the Steelers covering. That was when they were going to play tomorrow at 1 o'clock, when the wind was going to be 40-plus miles an hour. Now they're playing Monday at 4:30 with winds supposed to be 22 miles an hour. If it was going to be 40 miles an hour, this was just going to be run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, which favors a closer game, which keeps it low scoring. But it got moved to Monday with only 22 miles an hour winds. Sure, it's going to be a lot of running the ball still. They're not really going to change the game plan as much, but they're going to be able to throw the ball a little bit more in this game, which favors the Bills. I think the Bills should be able to win this game by a score of like 27-13, 28-13. Josh Allen and the Bills come out and just take care of business in this game. I like them -9.5. Now, to my Eagles. You might want to go the other way on this one. So, in all honesty, though, Eagles should be able to win this game even without AJ Brown. You got Jalen Hurts. This is where a $250 million quarterback should be able to win you a football game. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles should be able to take care of business in the game, get in, get out with a win, -2.5. Eagles should be able to win this game. If you don't, Nick Sirianni might not have a job by Wednesday, but we will see. I like the Eagles -2.5. They got, even without AJ Brown, you have the better team on paper. On paper, the Bucks right now have a better defense, but you still have the better team on paper than the Bucks. Losing AJ Brown evens it out, but Baker's been hurt. Granted, Hurts has been hurt, but if Hurts can throw the ball, you should be able to win this game if you're the Eagles. And you better win this game if you're the Eagles, or else heads start to roll in Philadelphia. That'll do it for Luke's locks. Now, I want to go through my playoff predictions to end episode 24 of Uncaged Sports Talk. I'm going to go through the entire playoffs. I'm going to share my screen and go through the entire playoff prediction. Just pulling up the ESPN page. ESPN Pigskin Bracket Challenge. The Texans versus the Browns. I already said I like the Browns in this one. I think the Browns go in and win against the Texans. I like the Chiefs. I think against the Dolphins. I think Pacheco has a really good game today. I like the Bills on Monday against the Steelers to win outright. So then in the second round, you got Ravens versus Browns, Bills versus Chiefs. In the NFC, I like the Eagles to beat the Bucks. I'm a little more worried with AJ Brown out, but you should still be able to win this game. Eagles beat the Bucks and move on to the divisional round. Words off the panic for another week. Now, depending on how they perform the following week will be where my concern is. If they can get past the Bucks. The next week, I think they'd probably get blown out against whoever they play, Niners or Cowboys. But we'll get into that round in a second. I like the Rams to beat the Lions. I already said that. So the Rams likely will go to San Fran, depending on how the Cowboys-Packers game plays out. And I like the Cowboys to beat the Packers outright. Then for round 2, the divisional round, the Joe Flacco Bowl, Joe Flacco against his old team, the Baltimore Ravens, in the playoffs. Playoff Joe, baby. Delaware alum, Playoff Joe is going to come up short. He's going to throw one too many picks, which is going to lead to the Baltimore Ravens beating the Cleveland Browns, and that's where the Playoff Joe run comes to an end, which I know we all hate to see, but the Playoff Joe run has to come to an end eventually. He is not going to a Super Bowl in his age 40 season, throwing 2 interceptions a game, which is what it seems like he does every single game. Bills Chiefs. This game is an enticing game. Could go either way. A lot of people would probably pick the Bills in this game. I personally would have the Chiefs in a second game against the Bills. Bills won the first time. Usually when teams play a second time, the team that won the first time loses the second time when it's close matchups. I think the Chiefs would be able to win this game. I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes would just find a way and a will to come out with the win against Buffalo. So I would take the Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills to go back to the AFC Championship, to head to Baltimore, head to Beemore, and go back to the AFC Championship game. Niners-Rams, divisional matchup. This game, a lot of people would probably pick the Rams. Rams would probably be a popular upset pick here just because the Niners having some time off. But this game just seems like one you don't want to overthink. Or if you start thinking about it too much, you might get yourself in trouble picking it. This game, the Niners will win. If this is the matchup, the Niners will win and head to the conference championship. The Niners this year have been one of the best teams going away. Like far and away, they've been one of the best teams. If they get out to a lead, Rams are in trouble. Rams have no business in this game if the Niners get out to a lead. Now, if the Rams keep it close, Niners might be in trouble if the Rams keep it close. I think the Niners are good enough to be able to get out to that lead and not look back. Turn away, Eagles fans. This one pains me. This one pains me to do. But I think the Cowboys would roll right over the Eagles. I think Dak Prescott would roll right over the Eagles. And the Cowboys, finally, I hate to say that. I don't know why I said that like so loud, but they finally, for the first time in a lot of Cowboys fans' lives, get back to a conference championship game to play the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship with a chance to go to their first Super Bowl since the mid-90s. Conference Championship weekend, January 28th. Who will go to the Super Bowl? Who will go to Las Vegas, where I just got back from? Las Vegas, Nevada. The Raider Stadium. I was about to say Oakland Raider Stadium, but the Raider Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada. Going to be a fun weekend for whatever teams get to the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens come up small in this matchup against the Chiefs. I trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes more in a playoff game than I trust Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has had a history of struggling in playoff games because it's a matter of if it's a close game, you can't run the ball as much. Granted, both teams don't have a strong passing game this year, but both teams have good defense. Both teams have good coaching. Like, this is a very even matchup. Very, very even matchup on paper. Ravens should be able to win. They've had a lot of success this year. But when it comes down to it, who do you trust more? Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson when the chips are on the table? Patrick Mahomes is who you trust more. I would take the Chiefs in this game to get back to the Super Bowl for the third year in a row. No, the second year in a row. I would take I'm taking the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl and win on the road in Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson comes up small in this game. One half of the Super Bowl is figured out. Now, Eagles fans, I've been saying this to people I know. I think I've said this a few times with this matchup. I would turn away Eagles fans. I hate to say it. I want to turn away. I don't want to do this. But when you're playing a team, when two teams are this good, the Niners and Cowboys, when two teams are this well matched, when they're playing for a fourth straight time, it's highly unlikely that you're going to beat a team when you're closely matched 4 straight times. I think the Dallas Cowboys finally beat the Niners and get over the hump, and they go back to the Super Bowl for the first time in a lot of my friends' lives, and for the first time since the mid-90s. For the first time in damn near 30 years at this point, the Cowboys finally get over the hump and go to the Super Bowl. The problem for the Cowboys, though, let's be real. Andy Reid, Mike McCarthy, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott. Yes, has Dak Prescott been better this year than Mahomes? Yes, he has actually been better. Chiefs defense, though, or Cowboys defense? Chiefs defense. No offense, you take the Cowboys offense. But who do you trust more when the chips are on the table? The Chiefs. You trust the Chiefs a hell of a lot more when the chips are on the table than the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is where the Cowboys' miracle run would come to an end. I think the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl and they win it for a second straight year. Everyone counting them out this year. I think the Chiefs go and win another Super Bowl. And if you're going to do a bracket, what I would say to do for how many total points would be scored, I would assume 50 points per game for every game, which gives you 650 points. I would say 50 points because that's 25 points a game per team. That sounds about right for a playoff. That sounds about right for a lot of these teams. 650 points would be my tiebreaker for the list. The Chiefs, I have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl over the Dallas Cowboys this year. It should be a very fun playoff, though. We'll revisit this when the Super Bowl actually does come around, see if this got trashed, which there's a chance it could get trashed, or see if I was correct. See if Luke's picks were correct. See if Luke's locks have done him well and have helped him prepare for my playoff picks. Hopefully these hold true. That'll do it, though, for this episode of Uncaged Sports Talk. It was a very fun episode. I look forward to, maybe in the coming weeks, maybe next week, hopefully, having people on from the Free Poker League, having Maya, Sam, Jim, Gary on, if I can. Even if I have to do like a little video clip and ask them like what they thought about the Vegas trip, what their favorite parts about the Vegas trip were. Ask them like about their runs, about their runs in the main tournament and the tournaments that they had. I'll try to have them on in the future, which will be a fun episode. Will be fun to do. But that'll do it for episode 24 of Uncaged Sports Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week for episode 25. We're halfway through a year of this podcast. We're almost halfway through a year of this podcast, which is just insane to me. But remember to like, follow, and subscribe on all of our and comment on all of our platforms. It is greatly appreciated. Tune in next week for episode 25.